and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. Signing of a petroleum agreements between the port and the South Sudan Petroleum Ministry. And the international scene in Berlin, Egypt calls for more climate action in Berlin. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The People's Palace has hosted today in late morning the installation of the commission in charge of the privatization of Djibouti Telecom. A first contact between the new members composed of the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Ilyas Musa Dawali, who chaired this commission, and Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, the Minister of Communication, Posts and Telecommunications, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, the Economic Advisor to the President, the Director of the Survey Fund, and other major state officials. It is recalled that this initiative is part of the modernization of the reform of public enterprises, accelerating their pace to reform to better cope with competition, and this so that they participate fully in the national effort of emergence in financing development. Moreover, this action is part of another global perspective, that of the diversification of the Djiboutian economy announced by the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. Djibouti's willingness to support and quickly develop a coherent ecosystem linked to the digital economy and new technologies, in which Djibouti Telecom will be one of the major players. His Excellency the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Mr. Ilyas Musa Dawali, in a speech delivered on this occasion about the various tasks that this committee will carry out. For his part, the Minister of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Mr. Yunis Ali Gedi, received today in his office the founding chairman of the UAE Group, EMA Power, specialized in the construction, maintenance, and operation of energy infrastructure, Mr. Hussein Al-Nous, accompanied by Mr. Basama Ben Tahir, CEO of the group. The meeting took place in the presence of the Director General of EDD, Mr. Jami Ali Gelleh. At the center of discussions between the minister and his host, the construction of the solar power plant of Grand Barra with a capacity of 25 to 30 megawatts were discussed. The Port and Free Zones Authority and Reperco today signed an important memorandum of understanding to explore opportunities and operate under the name of Refiners and Petromelicates Company on Djibouti soil. Increasing capacity through the implementation of new multi-product facilities is now a major interest for countries in the region, and current capacity constraints relative to import potential raise the need for additional cost-effective solutions that will ensure uninterrupted service to southern Sudan and beyond. Through this MOU, the parties expressed their intention to initiate a memorandum of understanding for a Djibouti-based branch office for this South Sudanese company, and the granting of a 1.3-hectare plot of land in Djibouti International Free Zone for air and sea transshipment activities and the storage of oil equipment. Accompanied by a strong delegation from different ministries of South Sudan, the technical advisor to the Ministry of Hydrocarbons, Mr. Mohammed Lino Benjamin, and the chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi, in the presence of the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of Djibouti in South Sudan, Mr. Hassan Roble Mahmoud, have initiated this agreement. South Sudan is one of the producer countries of low-grade sulfur, and the port of Damerjog will transport the South Sudanese fuel for export to the final destinations. It is noted that the Republic of Djibouti will soon have an oil refinery with an oil production capacity of 6 million tons, and the South Sudan company Repco Djibouti branch will benefit from the heavy industrial and petromedical base of Djibouti, which is the only industrial complex in East Africa equipped with a road, port, airport, and railway network. The head of South Sudanese delegation stated the following. Let's listen to him.
This is my team that came from Juba, representing the Ministry of Petroleum, that we have signed today a land lease agreement that will enable us, the Ministry of Petroleum, to use Djibouti Free Zone area for import and transfer to the oil fields of all the materials that are needed. And they have granted us a piece of land, 12,000 square meters, as already mentioned by the chairman. And this piece of land will be used for general trading, and we will mainly be targeting the oil fields by all activities that we will be doing. So this marks a new era for us in the oil fields, that we will now be having a very effective and very fast means of getting our materials into the oil fields to enable us carry out our operations. And we thank the chairman and his team for the first time of negotiation that we took only one day. Is actually a record, I think, and we are very happy for that. And thank you all.
For his part, the president of the Free Ports and Free Zone Authority, Mr. Obakar Umar Hadi, gave us a brief summary on the contents of the agreement. Let's listen to the chairman.
So it's a very good opportunity to receive today this business community from South Sudan. Going to use the corridor of Djibouti ports. And it was a long time. We were discussing and trading. And they have today leased a land of 12,000 in this free zone for the oil field, and it's going to be sea, air, or surface, or to land directly to the oil field in South Sudan. We are very happy on this new business opportunity between our two countries.
In the afternoon, the South Sudanese delegation, accompanied by the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of Djibouti in South Sudan, based in Juba, Mr. Hassan Roble Mahmoud, made a guided tour in the Djibouti Damerjok industrial development, especially at the oil jetty. Upon arrival, they were welcomed by the engineers on site for a guided tour and thus had a true explanation on this project of industrial free zone, which is focused on a heavy industry, including oil and gas and etc. The delegation was able to appreciate the large-scale construction sites that are being realized in the country. This Sunday morning, the Sagal Room of Sheraton Djibouti Hotel hosted a ceremony to award prizes to the winners of the competition of the 9th edition of Qasaid, which took place during the blessed month of Ramadan of the year 2022. The event was attended by the Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hiba Mumin Asowe, the President of the Commune of Bil'os, Mr. Obakar Iman, the Acting Director of the NPH, and at the same time, the Administrative and Financial Director of the agency, Mr. Isa Hassan, the Executive of the MJC, all the officials of the CDCs, and the groups of young winners. After the presentation of the reason of the meeting by Dr. Saeed Ilmi, plays to the reading of the Holy Quran, followed by clips of Qasaids winners whose rich linguistic diversity with the traditional and modernity has enlived the retained the intention of the public in a festive atmosphere. The winners of this competition received from the hands of officials present the prizes and certificates according to the merits and efforts made following the deliberation of a jury assigned to decide between the competitors. Finally, a family photo closed the session in a good atmosphere full of joy and happiness. The Honorable Member of Parliament Mahmoud Mustafa Dahir took part in the Digital Policy Symposium with the theme, The Role of Parliamentarians in Shaping Our Common Digital Future. An African Perspective, the symposium co-organized by the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs and the African Union Commission, saw the participation of some 30 Parliament members from 20 states of the continent. The event was also marked by the launch of the African Parliamentary Network on Internet Governments, an initiative dedicated to strengthen interparliamentary cooperation on digital policy issues. To this end, the Honorable Member of Parliament, Mahmoud Mustafa, was elected as a permanent member of the Bureau of this African Parliamentary Network on Internet Governments. Moving on, a fire broke out yesterday evening in the Section 7 Beast District. The fire has totally destroyed 10 houses and 8 houses partially. The houses ravaged by the fire are located in the Street 7 and Street 8 Boulevard, 3 of the District 7 Beast in the commune of Bil'os. Immediately alerted, the firemen moved quickly on the place of the fire and were able to avoid the propagation of the fire to the neighboring houses in this district. Within the support of the young people of the districts and with their experiences, the firemen have perfectly thwarted the fire and have learned the neighboring houses. After a hard fight against the fire, the firemen were finally able to control the fire at 3 a.m. No human loss have been reported so far, and an investigation has been opened to determine the exact causes of this tragedy. By remember, in this summer period of the Khamsin blows to strong the provisions of use against the risks of fire remains of typically for the population. Once again, the security defense forces of the Dikhil region under the operational command of Colonel Ibrahim Yusuf Dabar intercepted a very large quantity of contraband rat between Bondora and Mulud in collaboration with the Dikhil Customs. A seizure is estimated at almost 2 million Djibourian francs. The seizure of rat was made possible thanks to regular day-night patrols by elements of regional of all border posts in the Dikhil region. The days of Saturday and Sunday were marked by an important sports event of traditional character. In addition to team sports and swimming, the organizers, the ESS with local associations, wish to focus on traditional games with the wrestling. Several young people, also surprised and enthusiastic, distinguished themselves and won all the trophies. The aim is to revitalize the transmission of knowledge and skills related to the traditional table and ball games. Through these events, the Secretary of State in charge of sports intends to enhance and especially professionalize traditional games. The trainings allowing young people to learn the rules, origins, and functions of these sports will also be integrated into the national sports policy. As a reminder, traditional board games are an age-old pastime particularly popular among nomadic societies in the Horn of Africa, as we are seeing the following images of the sports. Shifting towards the international scene now, boosting negotiations on climate change is the challenge of the 12th International Conference on Climate, which opened Monday in Berlin, Germany. 100 days before the COP27, the United Nations Climate Conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, the Egyptian authorities are sounding the alarm. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.